All right, this is going to be a very random post. So, I had a few drinks tonight and I wanted to create a rendering for my car's social media page. With it being right around Christmas time, I want something snow related. So, I figured I would just do a little recording of a little working session while I do this and hopefully it helps someone. I mean, that's the point of the channel is to share information, and this is more or less a start to finish type of deal of rendering into a backplate with Vray, but to just, I mean, it's a random social media post, if you will. So, what I'm doing right now is I'm going through my backplates and just kind of finding something that's pretty. So, I got a bunch of these and just kind of trying to find something that's kind of exciting to look at, pretty, and will make a red car pop on the background. So, this one's kind of cool. It's got some nice little drama happening with the trees. These I shot in Atlanta. It really snowed in one time in Atlanta, and the whole city went on shutdown, which made it amazing to go and capture some backplates. So hopefully this turns out good. I'm definitely leaning towards something like this. All right, this one's sweet. This one looks cool. Yeah, this one's got my attention. So 636. All right. So let's do that. Let's set that one up as a backplate. So I'm in 3D Studio Max, obviously. I'll just kind of do a breakdown. So Alt B, that's viewport background. I'm going to click on User Files, click Files, paste my directory, which is my row 007, 636. There we go. I shot this with a normal full frame camera, so 1.5 aspect ratio. So let's do 5,000 pixels wide. There we go. We're going to create a physical camera in top viewport, like so. All right. Now let's see. 636. I have this little window popped up on my second monitor. It was a 24 millimeter lens. Well, I mean, it was a zoom lens, but 24 millimeters is what the backplate shot at. So nice and wide, very distortion wise, if you will. Typically, I would never shoot a real car like this, but we'll see what happens. So, okay, here you kind of see the center line. This is the road markings. It was very nasty outside, obviously, so it kind of covers up what we see, but let's do this. Let's do 15 feet, or no, 10 feet wide, 50 feet long. I just want to create a reference marker of a lane. This way I could create a perspective, if you will. So, all right, we're going to do that. Segment 00. So let's do this. Zoom out a bit, move down. All right, just keep moving it down and zooming out. All right, maybe it was what are we at? 10 feet. That's about right. 10 feet wide in the U.S. at least. I'm using the standard metrics, or not metrics, standard measurement system. So here we go. Now I'm just gonna really expand the length of it, and what I'll do is I'll make sure it's an instance, because what I want to do is make sure my perspective is correct. So this was a pretty straight road, if I remember correctly. So it's just a matter of getting the perspective correct. So that feels about right. We have a little bit of a little bend, but overall not bad. So now what I'm going to do is create a little point helper, top viewport, right here, make it like 30 inches or 30 feet, sorry. Now I'm gonna pause my recording for a second. All right, we're back to it. So what I'm gonna do is select my camera along with the ground planes. Sorry, what the hell? I don't want this to be. Okay, this is annoying. I want to put this back. Wow, how the hell? Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm going to select the camera and the ground planes and link them to this helper. Perfect. And now with my perspective lined up, I could move my helper, and that will kind of move the car into the backplate, if you will. So there we go. We're going to rotate it a little bit so that way the car can still remain at its neutral XYZ. And if you're working with CAD data, this is great, especially if you're doing a one-off shot, not like a pack shot. This way your CAD data is always neutral to where it begins. So, okay. Now I'm going to select this, zoom out a bit. Now let's see. All right, we're doing 636. So I'm going JPEG 4K in my folder. All right, 636. And let me see where my focal point was to make sure we have kind of like an accurate representation. I don't know why, but this isn't zooming in. So let's go to my high res 636. Wow, this is a stupid. It's not zooming in. That's annoying. Unbelievable. This just isn't working. Wow. Anyhow, I guess I gotta figure it out on my own now. All right, so 636, and this was shot at f8. So we're gonna change the f-stop to f8. That's good. There we go. Now we're gonna press 8, open up the environment slot. We are going to load the backplate, whatever you want, whatever you're working with. So, sorry, I gotta shift this over. So there we go. This little window pops up in 3D Max. I'm gonna click on General, Bitmap, paste the directory, and we are at 636. I'm gonna press M to open up Material Editor, and it's gonna shift over to the right because I'm recording just the 1080 output. So I'm going to drag and drop this into a material slot, make sure it's an instance. We're going to change it from spherical to screen. And here is the only hiccup. If I press 8, and if you look at my V-Ray exposure control, I have 200, 5, 6, and 100. For me, the RGB level that makes the backplate neutral is 15. This does not mean it's going to work for you. It works for me with these settings. If you copy these settings and put in 15, then you're going to be pretty much neutral to what your backplate is. So that's that. Now I am going to do a new material. I am going to do a camera map per pixel. I'm going to click on my camera right here. For texture, I'm going to do bitmap. We're going to load 636. There we go. For blur, I'm just going to make it 0.1. There we go. Angle 360. And for diffuse, just black. Assign that to the ground plane. In the bottom right, hold Alt B. Click that. Then click that. There we go. Now I am going to right click a Vray. Oh no, I have to create my HDRI. So Vray light. My dogs are barking, but free tutorial, I don't care. Not supposed to be professional. So I am going to Vray bitmap, paste the directory, and 8K. I see an 8K TM tone map. So I must have at some point in life made a different thing. Okay, the dogs are annoying me now, so I'm gonna pause it 1 second. All right. Hopefully the dogs won't be barking. I'm gonna flip horizontally because Vray likes to invert the HDRIs. All right, here we go. So HDRI multiplier 30, based on my exposure controls, 30 is the neutral. So let's see what this looks like. All right, so we gotta place the HDRI kind of where it should go. Oh my gosh. Hold on, let me pause this. All right, now we are back. I had to close the blinds. My dogs were barking, obviously. So this is what we have. I don't necessarily regard where I shot the HDRI. I mean, obviously it was on this road. Okay, so I do have this tree somewhere. Perfect. Okay. So I'm just gonna keep rotating it until I see what I have to. Okay, there we go. Perfect. So that kind of matches up apples to apples, obviously, with an HDRI, not a backplate. So let's see. Now what we have is, as you can see, we have too many cool tones in the HDRI compared to the backplate. That's why our ground plane is blue. So Vray being Vray, it crashes a lot these days. So I'm going to stop this. I am going to turn on RGB multiply right here, or enable color map with RGB in the HDRI itself. And I will do the same thing into the backplate for the floor. But for the moment, I'm not going to change anything here. I want to dial in my HDRI a little bit. And here's the weirdest thing, like at least with my workflow, is sometimes I do the HDRI, I get it to where the car feels like it's reflecting the tones of the backplate, and then I shift over to the floor and fine tune it. It's just my workflow. It could be completely wrong, but that's my workflow. And maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. Really up to you. So I'm just going to share my information, and you take it with a grain of salt. And yes, so I clicked on preview again. I have to keep on looking at OBS because I am definitely cropping off what I'm showing with the buttons. So here we go. So as you can see, the preview is the ground plane is a little blue, and this is where my ground plane cuts off and then the back plate begins. So what I like to do is go in and fine tune the HDRI first. So I'm going to dial back a little bit of the blue tones and a little bit of the green tones. But I also, while I'm doing that, I'm paying attention to like the tires, the car, because what I want to do is I want to make sure the tones of like the sky are neutral to the tones of the backplate sky. If you make it too good, your floor might be fine, but your car's going to look pasted in. So that's where it's key to kind of find the balance of the sweet spot. So for me, this is almost like we took off too much of the cool tones. There we go. So if you look at the reflection of the roof line and the windows, we kind of have the neutral blue tones, maybe just a little bit more, kind of like that. So you kind of want to make it gray, I guess, compared to the sky here. It sounds silly because, you know, the ground is wrong, but the car feels more appropriate, if you will. Now, what I want to do is I want to make sure my actual ground plane isn't cutting through the tires. So I'm going to move this thing down. There we go. All right, so now the car is planted. Great. So as you can see now, the car feels pretty damn good. However, what we have is a blue ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my backplate, or the camera map per pixel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take down the blue tones like so. So now, as you can see, we have too much green. And if you don't understand what you're looking at, unfortunately, this just comes from doing this all the time. You're going to kind of like see it eventually. It's just going to click. So now it's feeling not too bad, but it's a little dark. So what I'm going to do is go into my light right here. And instead of adjusting the value of the light, I'm going to change the diffuse from 1 to like 1.5. And what I want to see is these tones kind of match. So 1.2. So now what I can see is I have a little too much warmth in the ground plane texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump up the blue channel a little bit more. All right, it's a little too much. So I'm going to bump it down. Maybe bump up the green. All right. So this is finding that perfect thing. I know you can make it in a matte shadow. I don't like doing that. I like to find that perfect sweet spot of the thing almost looking seamless. So I'm going to bump up the effect diffuse to 1.3. Ooh, that's feeling pretty good. All right, that's not bad actually. I mean, I could kind of see a line right there. You kind of see where it blends. So let's do 1.25. And as you can see, we have a little bit too much red. So what I'm going to do is bump up the blue back into here. See what that does. Maybe tone down the red and the green. Tone down the red. There we go. That's feeling good. All right. So now I'm pretty happy with how my ground plane is blending with the backplate. So now I know my tones are pretty good. The car feels pretty good. So last but not least is to make sure the ground plane is not part of the alpha. So I'm going to do Vray properties and -1 in effect alpha. So like so. There we go. Now straight wheels to me are boring. So I'm going to press A for angle snap and rotate the wheels 5 degrees like so. Here's that. I'm going to open up my material editor and select my tires. I actually want them to be a little shinier. So when you drive on wet roads, your tires become glossier. That's just the wetness. So I'm going to bump those up. There we go. Now I want to turn on my headlights. So see materials, headlight. And this is how I just prepped this car. I made it user-friendly, if you will, for rendering. So that's good. The tires are good. That's that. The last thing I would like is a little bit of a specular highlight of the car on the floor. So I'm going back to my shadow catcher, if you will. I'm going to bump up the reflection to 100%. So as you can see now, it's just a mirror. Now I'm going to do a dim distance. There we go. As you can see now, we're limiting our reflection properties, and the HDRI just kind of doesn't affect it anymore. I'm going to do, let's say, 10 feet. As you can see, it's getting cut off right here. That's okay. I'm going to dim fall off by 1. So now it's blending. Now I'm going to do like 0.7 to blur it, 0.8. As you can see now, the wet tarmac is reflecting the car. And now what I'll do is a reflection of like a dark diffuse. And one thing, actually, I do want it to be a little more reflective. So as you can see, what's happening is now that we have the car reflecting, yeah, the tarmac is not too bad, but our shadow, like the car looks like it's floating, and that looks like trash. So here's a little like loophole of how to fix this problem. Now I'm gonna turn off RT so Vray doesn't crash on me. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna create a shape in top viewport, create an outline of the car, like so. There we go. So essentially, I'm modeling a shell. Now I'm going to add an extrude modifier, make it like a any size, doesn't really matter. The most important part is object properties and make it not renderable. We don't want this element to render. So now here's our ground plane, right? What we're going to do is do a material Vray blend. We're going to keep it, obviously. We're going to copy this over. Nothing. We're going to make sure this has no reflection properties whatsoever on it. Now what we're going to do is do a Vray distance text. We're going to add that shape that we just created of the car. I'm giving out all my secrets here now. And honestly, it's the alcohol talking now. But hopefully this does show you guys and gals the possibilities of using the Vray distance text and how there's different ways to use it. So, okay, now I have it, and what I'm going to do is make this black, and the inside color, I'm going to make it pure white. So that means inside of it is going to be solid. So inside solid, there we go. So as you can see now, my car's planted. However, what I do want to do is I kind of want to feather it off. So what I'm going to do is far color, make it white, and just leave it at like 10. Actually, that's a little aggressive. So I'm gonna make it like a 3, because I want that highlight of the red car to show up on the pavement. So as you can see, it's not there anymore. So what I'm gonna do is, for the sake of seeing what I'm doing, I'm gonna uncheck that for the moment. I'm gonna make it like red, let's say. Okay, so it's not far color, it's near color. So I'm gonna swap these two. So let's do that. Let's do 15, 25. So as you can see, this represents the no reflection area, and it's nice because it's pretty solid under the car, but it feathers off gently right here, and that's what I want. So now I'm gonna turn on the diffuse again, and as you can see, now we have the red beautiful specular highlight on the ground plane, and the car feels planted. It's solid. That's what we want. So I'm gonna bump this up to like 0.9, 0.85. As you can see, that feels pretty darn good. So let's see, alpha is no. Overall, for a quick render social media Instagram post, I'm happy with this. This isn't too bad. Social media, you know, people are gonna click through it. They click like, they follow, they go. So you don't have to try too hard just to post something. This isn't like a masterpiece, but I don't know how long I've been recording. 21 minutes. So in 21 minutes from start to finish, along with a few trial and error tips and tricks, we got it dialed in. So all I'm going to do now is dial in my final render settings and press render. So Vray 1 and 12.008, or sorry, that's firefly removal. Okay, 0.03, 0.008, that's good. For a still, brute force and light cache, that's fine. This is great. So render elements, my go-to is always all the multi-mats. I max them out. And then a V-Ray denoiser, that's fine. 1.5. So what I'll do is I'll just render this out real quick, and then we'll just skip ahead to the retouching. All right, and this is done. So what I'm gonna do is hold down on this button and click Save All Channels and name it Lambo EXR. That's just how I like to save out my outputs. And now it's time to throw it into Photoshop. So I'm just gonna continue doing everything from start to finish, and then I'll just post it obviously on my Instagram page. But let's see. It's almost done. It's very, like, I mean, it's 5,000 pixels. It's big, but not that big. So we'll see how long it takes to save. All right, V-Ray denoiser chain already saved. That's essentially the foundation of my workflow. So the only thing I hate is stupid V-Ray 7. They made it not save the bump channels anymore, so I gotta adjust my startup max file and to include the bump normals. But that's fine. Again, social media posts, I'm not really too concerned about getting crazy with the retouching. But what I like to typically do is duplicate the car, put it in image mode and 8-bit. I'm gonna drag and drop these render elements into here. Let me see what the OBS is saying, because I'm definitely not showing the whole workflow. This is so irritating, but it is what it is. So, okay, I'm showing the cars. Hold control, click on the red channel. All right. I'm going to add a little bit of curves to it. I'm going to bump up the curves up and down. Make that red pop. There we go. I'm going to throw my glare pass on top of this. So drag and drop my Lambo glare. There we go. Make the headlights shimmer. So change that to screen. There we go. And let me know, guys, if you are interested in me doing more of these just random render sessions. Obviously, these aren't made to be like high-end, in-depth renderings. These are just quick, have fun with it, make a quick one-off shot, post it on the gram, and call it good. Because honestly, most people don't give a crap about quality on social media. They click like and they move on. That's the nature of it. All right, so to me, overall, that feels good. You got an exotic car and a snowy background. Voila, done. Now, what I like to do is I use this Alien Skin Exposure X. It's a plugin. It's got sliders. It's a shortcut to retouching. It's my go-to. I like it. So what I'm going to do is just bump up some contrast, throw on some little clarity, vibrance, saturation, highlights. I'm going to give it a little bit of a glow. That maybe tone down the saturation a bit. As you can see, that's feeling pretty cool. You got the red car popping on a snowy backplate. Sweet. Bump down the shadows, the blacks maybe a little bit more. I'm going to apply it. There we go. Last but not least, I'm going to throw another thing, Color Effects Pro from, it used to be Nick, then it was Google. I don't know who owns this stuff now, but what I'm going to do is let me shrink this so you can kind of see the stuff I'm doing. All right, so I'm going to do Detail Extractor, see what that does. It's just my own little, I guess you could say recipe for retouching. Everyone's got their own look. This is kind of what I've been doing throughout the years. So not too much. Then Glamour Glow. We're going to make it nice and cool. I'm going to throw on some cross-processing. This is like an overall look to the image. See what looks interesting. That looks kind of cool. This is interesting right here. All right, throw that one on there. All right, now with the new Photoshop, there's a glitch where it doesn't really apply. So I'm going to just Control Alt F, that applies it. You'll see that stuff applied here in a second. Perfect. There we go. And now finalizing it, I'm going back to Exposure X, File Reset, and all I'm doing now is adding noise. There we go. Make it tiny. Tone it back a bit. There we go. Done. A little bit of film grain. So a quick little start to finish rendering session. Again, if you guys want me to do more of these, feel free to let me know and I'll do them. I do a lot of random renders for my social media car page, and I've been more than happy to keep doing them. It's very simple. It's very quick. It's nothing professional, nothing for my clients, just for my random Instagram news feed, if you will, just to keep putting crap out there. Let me know.